Hello everyone, my name is Emmanuel Sebastian and welcome to the trending story with Niger footballers. Victor Osimhen's injury is arguably one of the most talked about news currently in the world of football. The Super Eagles number 9 fractured his eye socket and cheekbone in Napoli's loss to Inter in the Serie A and have undergone successful surgery. Conflicting reports in Italy suggest he will be out for a month, but Napoli released a statement via their Twitter handle that he will be out for 90 days and in the process won't be at the AFCON with the Super Eagles in January. We spoke to Dr. Jimi Osinaike, a primary care sports physician and presently a PhD candidate in sports and physical activity in the UK, to share his thoughts from a doctor's perspective on such kind of injury. Stay with us, guys. It is still the trending story on Niger Footballers TV. All right, doctor. So Victor Osimhen had a freak cheekbone and eye socket injury last time out. Can you give us an insight of the nature of such kind of injury?
Okay, thank you so very much. So the cheekbone, or in medical parlance, we call it the zygomatic bone, is one of the bones, in the face. So we have a couple of other bones in the face. We have like the maxillary bone, the mandibular bone, the nasal bones. I mean, just a few number of bones in the face. So the cheekbone is just one of the bones in the face. And it's important to know that, again, the cheekbone, or the zygomatic bone, as the medical guys would call it, is not often fractured. Okay, so the most fractured bone in the face is the nasal bone. So again, what happened to Victor Osimhen is uh, quite unique. You won't normally see that kind of bone fracture in football or in any sport, as the case may be. Now, why are we talking about this bone? Why is the fracture of this bone so important? Let me just share a particular diagram now. For our audience, if you can see what I'm sharing now, this is, the various bones that make up the face, okay? And Victor Osimhen actually fractured, this bone. Now, this was where he had the problem, okay?
Yeah.
Called the zygomatic bone, or the cheekbone, which is the one I've actually highlighted in red. Now, this bone is quite a very, very strong bone, and in reality, it really fractures as a bone. But what actually you would usually see that fractures is the alignment of that bone with other bones. Now, if you can see from this picture, you find that the zygomatic bone, which is this one that I've highlighted, has a close contact with the face, or with the eye socket.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the eye socket also has another bone, called the orbital bone. Okay, so the zygomatic bone articulates with the orbital bone. So most times when we have a fracture along this area, we oftentimes would either have the fracture of the zygomatic bone proper of the bone, or fracture as it aligns with other articular surface. So for Victor Osimhen's case, I mean, it's very likely, again, based on what we've read and based on what the team doctors have said in Napoli, that he fractured, that the point of fracture is where the bone articulates with the orbital bone. Okay, so that was why the surgery that was done was both the zygomatic bone and the bone of the eye socket, which is called the orbital bone. So in summary, what I'm trying to say in summary is that the zygomatic bone articulates with, the bones of the eye, or what we call the orbital bone. And oftentimes when there is, a trauma to this particular point, what we see oftentimes is, the fracture at the articular point, okay, which I believe is what happened to Victor Osimhen.
Yeah.
Okay, so the severity of this injury is actually because of the close proximity of the zygomatic bone, or of the cheekbone, to the eyes, okay, which is really what we should be talking about.
So titanium plates and
Okay.
screws were reportedly used during surgery on Osimhen's face. Please tell us why so.
Okay, thank you. So when we have a fracture, so fracture in simple terms can be displaced or not displaced. So when it is not displaced, we're saying that, yes, there's a fracture, but the fracture bones are still in alignment, okay? So that is one part. So when it is not displaced, oftentimes we say we just use a conservative method. Well, You don't have to do any surgery. Again, just tell the athlete or just tell, whosoever has a fracture, okay, take care of yourself, relax, your face, don't eat, add food and all of that. But in the other scenario, we could have what we call a displaced fracture where, the bones are actually no more in alignment. Okay, in that instance, you would have to, do a surgical procedure where you have to use what we call screws, okay, wires, okay, to put the bones together. Okay, so in the case of Victor Osimhen, now what he had was a displaced, fracture of the cheekbone in alignment with the orbital bone. So what needs to be done and what has been done, as we can see, is that a wire and a plate was used to actually hold those bones together. Now, what is done is what we call fracture immobilization. Okay,
Okay.
because when it is displaced, the fractures are mobile. Okay, the fracture bones, segments or fragments are mobile. So you need to immobilize them. Okay, so what those plates, wires, and all that we read about was just to hold those bones together.
Okay. So it was displaced actually. So that was why
It
those
was
was used.
displaced. Yeah, it was displaced. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So can you shed more light on the rehabilitation process of such injuries and the healing time and how long it's going to take?
Okay.
Because there are reports that's going to take
Okay,
up to
good.
3 months before it's going to be back. So can you share more light on that
Okay.
process?
All right. Yeah. So oftentimes the bones around the face will take 6 to 8 weeks to heal. Okay. But again, this depends on the severity. This depends on what part of that bone was fractured. Earlier on I shared the diagram where I showed us that the cheekbone is in close proximity or close contact with the orbital bone. Okay.
Yeah.
So in a situation where the orbital bone, was also fractured together with the zygomatic bone, okay, you could expect something beyond 8 weeks. But ideally, it should be between 6 to 8 weeks. But studies have shown that for athletes that engage in high impact sports, that they shouldn't return back to football less than 3 months, or to sports, whatever sport they're playing, in less than three
In less
months.
than three
And I
months.
believe this is because, yeah, in less than 3 months. And I believe the reason is because, again, you want to be sure that the bone is really healed. Okay, you don't want to take any chances again, because for contact sport like football, you're going to use the air to nod. When you're trying to contest for a ball in the air, players can come and hit your head and all of that. So it's always advised that, okay, players in contact sport, okay, do at least 3 months before return to sport. Now, the other important thing that I think our viewers should understand is the rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Now, because there was also an orbital involvement, or because the eye socket was also involved, it means that there are likely to be complications associated with the eye. And some of the complications associated with with the eye, when people have this kind of injuries or this kind of fracture, is things like double vision.
Oh, double
So it
vision.
means that such an athlete, yeah, double vision. It means
Okay.
you're seeing double. Okay, you're seeing double. There's also what we call eye asymmetry. So it means your eyes are not in good alignment. Now, you don't want, for example, Victor Osimhen to come back. Yes, the bones have aligned well, the bones have healed well, but he's not really seen well. Do you get what
Yeah.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to say? Because he also needs, a good vision, okay, to take back in a sport appropriately. So again, these are, some of the other things that we really need. I mean, that the doctors, I believe, have looked, into, and they're saying that, I mean, he's not going to come back 3 months. In fact, I told somebody recently that we should be looking at 4 months,
Oh,
because
four
even
months.
after 3 months, if the bones have healed, okay, again, he will still needs to do, some rehab, because remember that in the course of this healing process, Victor Osimhen will not be able to eat certain amount of food, okay,
Mm.
that will give him strength. Because, for example, because that area of
Yeah, he
of
needs to chew.
the face, yeah, is also close to the mouth.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So it will need, in the course of the healing, to also rest that area. So, for example, I mean, Victor Osimhen will not be eating hard food like yam, things that will
Yeah.
require him to chew a lot. Okay, and you know that for footballers, you need carbohydrates meals like yam and all of that. So what we're trying to say is that, this rehabilitation process would actually take a toll on his fitness. I mean, this whole healing process will take a toll on his fitness because the facial bones have to heal and all of that. So by the time the facial bones are finished healing, he will still have to go through, eye rehabilitation. Okay, so the ophthalmologist, I mean, those are the doctors that specialize in eye would still have to, do things like eye rehabilitation for him. So in summary, most importantly, it's not just the bones, it's also the eye. So the eye is actually very, 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 very important.
Definitely,
So
yeah.
again, give or take, I'm not seeing Osimhen. I'm seeing Osimhen back to full fitness in 4 months.
So, so
Unfortunately.
for you're seeing it as 4 months, not even the 3 months that was being reported by the Italian media.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've even added, the whole rehabilitation that has to go through. Again, 4 months of full match fitness. Yes, he could start playing, 1 or 2 games, after 3 months, but full match fitness. Oh, I mean, 4 months.
All right. So
Max.
and no
Minimum of 4 months.
and no possibility of him using a mask. Would that going to help in any way? But I know you talked about the eye
Yeah,
vision
thank
and
you. Yeah,
everything.
thank you. Yeah, it will. It will. There's a very high chance that, when he comes back playing for Napoli or playing for Nigeria, Victor Osimhen will have to use a face shield.
Yeah.
He would have to use a face shield. So it would become one of, those players that have used the face shield. Like one of the players that used the face shield, there was this Chelsea keeper, Peter Cech.
Yeah.
And this guy from Wolves, I'm saying Wolves, I think Raul Jimenez.
Yeah.
So again, Victor Osimhen will have to join, the league of players that wears a face shield. Again, basically the face shield would still be worn just to ensure protection, okay, along, that cheekbone.
All right, doctor. I mean, 4 months. I mean, that's not the news a lot of Nigerians want to hear because Victor Osimhen would definitely be a big miss for us going into the AFCON. But doctor, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
it is.
Thank you so much for your time, and
You're
it's been a
welcome.
pleasure having
You're
you.
welcome.
All right, thank you very
Thank you
much.
so very much. All right, cheers. Bye.
So there you have it. You've heard from Dr. Jimi Osinaike. While we were thinking 3 months might just be too much, but he's suggesting a possible 4 months, and the rehabilitation process for Victor Osimhen might just include him not being able to eat some certain kind of meals due to the fracture in the cheekbone, and also his vision due to the relation to the eye socket. Well, all we just want to say is we want to wish Victor Osimhen a speedy recovery, and we hope he comes back better and stronger. Guys, it is still the trending story on Nigeria Footballers TV. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We are Nigeria Footballers on YouTube for premium Nigerian football content. My name is Emmanuel Sebastian. Till I come away again next time. Bye-bye.